I'm Fiona Curran. I'm an artist and I've got an exhibition here at the Broadway Gallery in Letchworth Garden City, and it's called Jump Cut, Still Life. The whole sort of theme of the exhibition really developed over the last year of the COVID crisis, and my experience of being in my garden, recovering actually from COVID, spending a lot of time with nature. A lot of the processes that I use in my work already had this relationship to this idea of slowing down, of paying attention, of taking time. What really came to the fore over this past year for many, many people is this sense of slowing down and having a different sort of relationship to time. It's also been really revealing about how much of our lives are involved in this very accelerated, very busy, very speeded up kind of dynamic. I think that the new technologies particularly accentuate that sense of acceleration. You know, everything's always busy. There's always this kind of distraction of the screen. I really want to kind of question that notion of whether always moving forward, always kind of progressing, so to speak, is actually the right thing, because there's something about this notion of what might be lost in that rush forwards. So the title of the exhibition, Jump Cut, Still Life, is very much a reference to that. Within the pandemic and within the lockdown situation, the still life became the kind of opposite of that. And it also seemed to me to reflect this feeling of time moving both very fast and also incredibly slow at the same time. And I talked to lots of different people, and I sort of was reading in the papers and everything. Lots of people had that sense of time being really confusing over this last year. I was really interested in the way in which the botanical is used to bring the outside world into the interior. It's really surfaced in these fabric collages that you can see in the exhibition, but very much in this connection to ecology as well as this sort of ghostly presence. The plants are there, but they're sort of hybrid forms. They may be sitting on these incredibly saturated backgrounds, but they themselves have got this quality of loss or disappearance. And I think that really connects to the loss of forests and the loss of landscapes. I wanted to find a way of capturing them in that moment of disappearance. Some of the plant forms that you can see are really an attempt to hold that moment and kind of preserve it in some kind of way. My use of this very heightened colour palette very much references screen-based technologies. So we're constantly looking through this illuminated and backlit surface, which is incredibly seductive. You know, in terms of colour, it's all the colours are heightened, all the colours are illuminated, they pull us into the space and then they take us places, and then it's quite hard to kind of pull back from that. I use this very, very heightened colour palette, but I try to pull them back into this much more sensory space that isn't just about the optical, but it's also about the tactile. I have quite an ambiguous relationship to textiles, I think. I mean, on the one hand, I absolutely love it as a material and as a medium, because I think it resonates so much with our experience of life. It's something that we're all familiar with. From the moment we're born, we're wrapped in textiles to the moment that we die. So what I try to do is bring the kind of painting to the textiles. It's really a form of painting for me, even though the components might be cloth. I do have this ambiguous relationship to textiles because it is very much a part of my family history. I come from a couple of generations of Lancashire mill workers. I'm acutely aware of textiles history and its role in industrial and in labour histories. My own grandmother lost an arm in an industrial accident in a weaving mill. I have a relationship to textiles which is very much about this beauty and this resonance of it, but at the same time, I think there's also this darker history to it, and this history of it not only in industry, but also in trade and in empire building. It's rich with all these associations and resonances. Collage plays this important role in my work alongside colour, and one aspect of it is this notion of the fragment and this fragmentary relationship to the way we experience the world and how we make sense of it. I think it's also quite a good reflection of the way my mind thinks. I tend to constellate things, I tend to kind of bring things in from lots of different references, and collage is my way of then giving that some sort of visual form. The large sculptural piece is called In Its Present Shape, It's Not the Only Possible World. That has this quality of the notion of building and rebuilding and doing things differently. Letchworth Garden City was part of a modernist project of a utopian possibility in and of itself as a town. The whole Garden City movement was very much about this idea of bringing of the kind of natural and the cultural together that would hopefully bring about this better way of life and this better way of living. Striving for utopia is in itself the thing. It's always keeping that hope alive that an alternative is possible.